So they basically said we out here ducking, talking about college football since we haven't said anything
Damn, I
about.
can't enjoy my holidays.
Since they said we haven't talked about it, considering we haven't recorded
Shit.
since the 31st
Can't enjoy the holiday.
or the 30th. We haven't recorded since
Had
the 30th.
Christmas, New Year's. I was off work, so I wanted to be off work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But no, this has been a decent amount of sulking for me after, and I have not re-engaged with with any sports talk since that night. Not yet. Not yet. No, I mean I plan on watching the national championship, tomorrow. But yeah, no, I went into the bunker after that one for sure.
I guess I could understand considering everybody had Michigan beating TCU.
Mm-hmm.
But considering the final score and everything, I don't know that I would be. Well, okay. Then the expectations were also that you guys were going to go further than the first round. So I guess there's that too. But I mean,
And then also
51-45,
it was one of the more entertaining games that you'll see. Like I can't take away from that, but it's just the circumstances in which it happened for us. So, like you go an entire season with JJ only turning the ball over 3 times, and he does it twice for scores both times in this game. There's no amount of scouting. There's no amount of advanced analytics that would have come out with that outcome in terms of his performance, right? I mean, he fought back. He had 3 touchdowns, over 300 yards, close to 400 total. He used his legs a lot in this game, too. It was a lot of the things that we wanted to see out of the Michigan offense all year, but it came because they had no other choice. They had to. They were forced into doing it, which is something that I had consistently said all season no one has been able to do, and TCU did. So I have nothing but admiration for that team because they did something that I didn't see anybody else this season doing to us, and that's dictating the pace of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was disappointing as a fan. Another thing, we hadn't really given up big plays like that all season. Mm-hmm. And so that was a big shocker to see, the one guy that everybody had their circle around, the lottery pick, and Quentin Johnston streaking up the sidelines deep in the game. I'm just like, man, just make a tackle. Just make a tackle. Just make a tackle. That's all you got to do. Let him get his yards. Just make a tackle. Make a tackle right there. We get the ball back. Down 3.
Mm-hmm.
Down 3. And at every turn where they would kind of stretch out the lead, it's down 21-3 in this game. It was down 21-3. So the fact that it was even a 6-point loss speaks to how much they put into getting that game back. They were down 18 in the third quarter, fought their way back. Like it just, they never really gave up. And that part I am proud of, but it's just that I didn't expect it to have to take all of that. Right? Now I'm going to get to the elephant in the room, which is the officiating that we saw all weekend.
Sure.
And it's just like, I've never seen a better commercial for why the NCAA needs to hire full-time refs than the playoff weekend, the playoff games.
Yeah.
It was absolutely atrocious.
1,000%.
Case 1. Michigan picks off Max Duggan in the second quarter, which, man, respect to Max Duggan, but there for the Heisman ceremony, stop, man, stop. Yes, the 30-plus touchdowns is impressive, but Max Duggan, he has a lot of intangibles.
Oh,
he is that a lot of other guys don't. He's far from the best quarterback in the country. Far from it.
Yeah.
He's a leader. He's a guy who just does what they need. He just does what they need.
Insanely tough.
Enough. Too. Yeah, he does enough of it to get them what they need. And he is tough. He's gritty. He has great resolve.
Yeah.
But he is not the most talented thrower of the football.
No.
So we pick him off in the second quarter off an errant throw, tip pass, and they spot the ball 2 yards further back than where the defender, I believe it was Rob Moore, falls down. No one even notices it. We just move along with the play, right? We keep going. All of a sudden, J.J. McCarthy to Roman Wilson, deep middle. Roman Wilson falls to the ground before the ball arrives, so he's down at that point. It hits him. He doesn't have control because the ball's moving around. He lays on the defender. The defender rolls him into the end zone. They call it a touchdown on the field. So then they reverse it. Obviously, everybody knows what happened with that. They put it on the 2. Michigan comes out, tries to do a fullback trap. Khalil Mullins fumbles the ball. We're going the other way.
Yeah.
First thing, if you don't spot us back 2 yards further, Roman Wilson is putting his leg down in the end zone. If you don't take 2 yards away from us, Roman Wilson is catching that pass in the end zone. That's number one. That's just a fact. How many points did we lose by?
6.
Even given everything that happens in this game, the turnovers by Michigan, the big plays by the DBs, the running game taking so long to get into a rhythm, whatever. Given all of that, if you spot the ball in the right place, Michigan wins by 1. I'm not laying this on the refs because refs make terrible calls in big games every single weekend, and that is just the nature of football. I do think that we can do everything that we can to alleviate that to the best of our ability by making the refs full-time employees. That's just me. But bad calls are part of the game. I said the same thing to Ohio State about, was it Jeff Okudah? The strip fumble that he had against Clemson that they called back. Same thing, man. Bad calls happen. You get hosed in a game that completely changes the complexity. Yeah. Even given that, if we don't do a Philly special coming out on the first drive on 4th down, a Philly special on 4th down, not 3rd down, not on 3rd down where you have a chance to still either get a field goal or go for it again, but on 4th down you're trying Philly special. So we don't do that, and we don't fumble on the goal line. Even given all the shit that we gave up. Even the bad calls. If you can get one of those back, just one, the fumble on the goal line, the Philly special, if you get any of those back, the game is won. Yeah. So even though that call absolutely ended up playing a role in the game, you still had a chance to overcome it several times over, and we just didn't do it. Just didn't do it.
That sounds familiar.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then the targeting hit on Coast and Leveling was a fucking atrocious. I don't know what else needs to happen for it to be targeting. The man was defenseless. He was being swung to the ground. His back was turned. He hit him in the damn neck, basically, with the crown of his helmet. And he only had 1 foot on the ground because he was launching himself forward to do so. I don't know what other factors it needed to be. Maybe they just had dinner reservations and they wanted to get out of the Fiesta Bowl early. Who the fuck knows? But it surely wasn't calling the game correctly. Surely wasn't that. And then it just permeated throughout the night. Disappointing loss. Crushing loss, man. That one hurts. It does. I don't want to see Michigan football again until the spring. I don't want to. I've been watching. I was leading up to that game. I was watching all of the rewinds, the Big Ten and 60 games and stuff like that. I've watched the Ohio State Michigan game from this year about 60 times or so already. Yo. But I'm gonna have to take a breather, man. That one hurts.
Nah, that's fair.
That one hurts.
Because again, I mean, you guys had the expectations. You did what you did in beating us again to get to where you wanted to go, and it just didn't fall that way. I think besides a few, obviously key plays from J.J. McCarthy, I think he did, do what was needed to at least try to get them within striking distance to still win this game. I would say that he's, somewhat deserved of a pat on the back, but JJ's dad already took care of that with his girlfriend, so we don't have to worry about that.
What now?
You didn't see the clip of JJ's dad, like, patting his girlfriend, like, on the ass?
What? No,
you didn't see that?
See that? No.
He, like, turns around. I guess they were celebrating maybe a touchdown or something. Mm-hmm. And then, like, his dad, like, turns around and, like, awkwardly touches, like, her ass. It was so fucking weird. I'll show you a clip of it later on. But swing and a miss on that joke. Anyway, a lot of what you felt about the Michigan game is things that I felt about the Ohio State game. One of the things that I said in our preview was that I didn't feel like Georgia had played anybody as talented as Ohio State, or pretty much anybody in the top 4 for what it's worth. And that kind of showed and proved itself. I think Georgia came out there, probably underestimated Ohio State, and we saw what we saw for a bulk of the game. Now, unfortunately, it did come down to a few key plays, things like losing Marvin Harrison Jr., Kirby Smart coming out of nowhere with the timeout before our fake punt, which would have extended our drive on that play or on that drive, and then obviously also the kick at the end. I don't think anybody would have seen that coming.
Yeah.
A devastating loss for me, considering the fact that we were up by 14
couple
times
in the fourth quarter. I don't care about the back and forth in the third because Georgia's the second half team.
Yeah,
but that fourth quarter, man, I'm like, oh man, they about to do this. Like they really about to, because every time Georgia had a punch for y'all were answering.
Yeah,
y'all were answering, and it looked like, man, C.J. Stroud. First of all, I don't want to hear any of that shit anymore. I don't want to hear none of that shit from y'all about C.J. Stroud at all, no more. Because he went out there versus the defending national champions and maybe this year's national champion and did everything y'all asked him to. He played with the fire. He played with aggression. He scrambled. He ran with the damn ball.
Yep.
He did everything y'all asked him to, and it still didn't work out.
Extremely well.
It still didn't work out. He had the game of his life.
Yeah.
He had the game of his life.
Yep.
And it still didn't work out. It's more than just C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that no more because he was dogging.
Yeah.
It was working.
I've got absolutely nothing bad to say about C.J. Stroud. He did everything he could to win that game.
But to be up, damn 14 points in the fourth quarter, you got to put that to bed. You got to put that to bed. Like, I feel bad that we weren't able to complete the comeback, but at a certain level, it's like, okay, we were fighting an uphill battle. We were trying to get back into position. We never held the lead.
Yeah, you guys were trying to complete the comeback.
Man, you got to put that to bed, Ryan. You have to.
I agree. And
I feel for him because I don't think, Mayan Williams didn't look like he was 100%.
I agree with that.
Trainum gave you, what he could, but I just don't think the running game this year was that of. I don't think y'all had a 4-minute offense. I don't think y'all have that built into the system right now. Mm-hmm. But as a football coach that you have to do that. You got to. All right, 8 minutes on the clock. We got 14 points on Georgia. What's more important? Scoring another touchdown and gaining distance, or beating this shit into the ground, not snapping the ball before the play clock gets under 10, and making sure we get at least 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes off the clock with each possession here on in and out.
Yeah.
Right? They have to go down the length of the field and score twice, and they have to keep us from scoring while they're doing it. Mm-hmm. They're at the disadvantage. Don't give them the advantage back by trying to score quickly, because you know what happens if you get out of rhythm, or you get a penalty, or you give up a sack, or you get an incomplete pass. You're off schedule, and you've taken no time off the clock. Oh, and by the way, you're going up against the best defense in America. So the likelihood of that happening is about 50-50. You are laying your odds at 50-50 odds. You can increase those odds by taking the amount of time that they have to go down and do what they need to do and shrinking it and minimizing it. That's football. That is the game. People who say that time of possession is a throwaway stat never put on pads. They never put on pads. They never had anybody lean on them, had to roll off the ground, line up, put their nails in the dirt, and go back and do it again for 12 straight plays. Yep. They didn't do it. So they don't understand. They don't get it. They say, oh, well, you can win without time of possession. Sure you can. If you've got dogs on your side and you are just better than the other team, fine. Fine. Yes, you can beat out. But when you are talking about like opponents, most of the time, whoever has the ball longer ends up winning the game. Mm-hmm. Whoever dictates the pace of the game wins the game. Yeah. How else do you dictate pace without possessing the ball? Mm-hmm. I feel like that is the reason why we got the announcement that we got, after that game, that Ryan's not going to be calling plays next year. Mm-hmm. Hey, that's a realization, I guess. It's an
I hesitate
reflection
with it because it's just like, well, we made a similar snap judgment in getting somebody like Jim Knowles, which has improved the defense, but we'll just have to see how it plays out next season. And we'll have to see who's obviously going to take over play calling. So, I mean, we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
But considering the loss, I'm as proud of the Buckeyes as I can be, considering we still lost that game. And I'm a little upset, obviously. But they came out, they especially guys like CJ Stroud played their heart out. And, they I think at times they definitely proved that they were the better team than Georgia. So, yeah, they lost the game.
Yeah.
And it's a tough one to deal with, but it is what it is.
TCU versus Georgia. Bruh. Man, the probably the most improbable combination that anybody had.
Yeah.
But they're there. They're there. They have the tools to compete. I think Georgia showed that if you can play a long game with Georgia, you can be in a fight with them in the fourth quarter, because as much as we love, probably the number 1 overall pick this year in Jalen Carter, that boy can't stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
That boy cannot stay on the field.
Yeah.
And if you run tempo, as TCU does,
yes,
and you get the ball on the edges, third, fourth quarter, Jalen Carter is going to be a non-factor.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're not trying to run that ball between the 1 and the 3, you're good.
And they have
you're
a back
good.
that'll be able to handle that.
You know what I mean? Like, he's definitely a load in the middle to try to handle. So the center guards, the interior offensive line are going to have their hands full. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But there's definitely there's a first quarter Jalen Carter, and then there's a third, fourth quarter Jalen Carter, and those guys are different.
Yes.
Those guys are different.
Agreed.
TCU has the cheat code to try and get around him early.
That plus, in what I saw with Georgia's DBs against the Buckeyes, Quentin Johnson should eat.
Yeah.
He should be able to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at this point, I don't know if I have too much faith at all in Georgia's DBs. And if whatever game TCU wants to play offensively, I think they should be able to hang with Georgia. I don't think it's as much of a difference as everybody's making it out to be, but they did the same thing with the Buckeyes. So
it's going to come down to exactly what the question was with Ohio State. If you get up on Georgia, can you put them down?
Yeah.
Can you put them down if you get a lead versus Georgia, 10, 14 points? Can you hold it, and can you stop the charge back?
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State couldn't. Can TCU? I think it's possible. I don't know. See, because another thing that we're not factoring into, at least yet, I'm going to say it, is that I honestly believed that TCU's defensive line was not going to be able to hold up against Michigan's offensive line, and that was the wrong question to ask. It was TCU's linebackers crashing, and from positions that Michigan hadn't seen all year.
Yeah.
And so that ended up being an advantage to TCU.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be an advantage for Georgia, who's probably thinking the same way Michigan thought? Like, man, they got 2 and 3 2 D linemen at times.
Yeah.
Like, we are going to destroy this. It's a whole other thing when you actually see it. So we'll see, man. I don't know. I have no idea, because I wasn't overly impressed with the Georgia running game until, the meat of the game in the second half. But it wasn't, like, dominant. It wasn't, we're just walking up and down the field. I know Uncle Lou had a lot to say about the softness of the Buckeyes. They made him eat a lot of those words.
Yeah.
They made him eat a lot of that shit. They didn't play soft. They just didn't. Now, you can say mentally maybe a little weak giving up the lead, but, like, physically it just wasn't. It wasn't a mauling.
Mm-hmm.
And nor so was it with Michigan and TCU, so.
I agree. I think I still have Georgia winning it just because they've got the experience, especially late in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But I think TCU can make it a close one, and they can win this game if they do everything right, essentially.
Yeah.
They definitely have the players to do so, and I look forward to seeing what the outcome is going to be. So, we'll definitely see as far as that goes. What do you have a prediction or anything like that on it?
Ooh, score prediction. I want to go on a limb and say TCU's going to win the national championship. That'll be one weird year.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a year that Michigan and Ohio State both made the playoff. Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia all made the playoff, and TCU won the national championship.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
Oh my God.
But it's possible.
I can't do it though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 35-28 Georgia.
If they keep it a low scoring game, then yeah, I definitely see Georgia winning it. That just seems like a game that Georgia will want to win. If somehow TCU comes out and they play another 40-plus point game, I think they got it.
Sure.
I definitely think they got it. I don't have a score prediction, but if you see 40-plus on TCU's side, they're definitely winning that game. I'm definitely not ducking any comments. I personally am really excited to see what the Buckeyes make of next year, being that we've got guys like Brandon Ennis and Carnell Tate. I've seen some tape of them at the All-Star game, and they look amazing. Lincoln Keenholtz is out there looking pretty good as well. I was kind of worried about how he'd look against talent that's not from South Dakota, but, man, he looked pretty good. So, we've got some guys coming in. Mayan's returning, he officially said. So, the only thing that I'm worried about is obviously we don't have a quarterback. We don't have a QB1 for sure yet. And if these USC rumors keep persisting, even though I don't believe any one of them.
Everybody's players.
Even though I don't believe any one of them, if they keep persisting, that's going to be a little worrisome. But other than that, man, I'm really excited to see what Ohio State can do in the offseason. And, obviously we got to address QB, left tackle, I believe, and then some DB depth. But other than that, I'm ready to get next season started as soon as possible.
Yep, for sure. How did your team end this season? Let us know. I want you give us some thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and check back in with us periodically for House Divided content. It'll be a little bit less until spring football, but we will definitely get back to it the more and more things pick up for next season.
Yeah, we'll see what we can dig up for House Divided content just to keep our college football fans engaged for the most part. But it'll be a little bit more sparse than obviously what we were doing every week. But make sure you subscribe because we'll talk college football whenever we get any massive updates as far as college football goes. And like he said, make sure you drop a like and comment.